kind of has a
Bad
jaunt
prizes.
for bad prizes, and this time it's 3 grass out of his 4 that he plays. So
And
that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. And meanwhile, over in Ben's prizes, does not look too bad for him.
I see a set of Garbodor, and a Trubbish, but most importantly, still has access to that Garbotoxin Garbodor, which
And
is very big in this matchup.
He actually plays the full 4 Tapu Lele GX. Something I haven't really seen. He's like, yeah, this is an attacker in my deck.
Oh, wow. Wow, Benjamin's out of control.
Yeah.
I think that's the very first time I've seen 4 Tapu Lele.
Honestly,
Like,
looking at
yeah.
his list, it's a lot of 4-ofs. Just like very consistent, like, yeah, I'm just going to draw the same cards.
Yeah, but once you're this deep into the game, that's extremely important. It's clearly been good for him going up to these tables. And I'm not 100% sure on points, but I do know both these players are definitely looking for a win. Is that correct?
So right now, John has 31 match points. That means a win will most likely put him in the top 8. And looking at Ben over there, he does have 31 also.
Oh, wow. So this is likely a win and in for both players. Someone's going to have to complete this, I would say.
Yeah, and those of you, again, who have followed John Kettler, he always writes down his prizes, always writes down notes that are important throughout the game, and those infamous notes of the 3 prized Rowlets with just the smiley face.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be another smiley face on that notepad right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, the grass energy isn't as bad as the Rowlets, but it's still pretty bad. You only run 4. You do need to get a couple of attacks in here and there.
Yeah,
Kettler,
especially with the Hollow Hunt GX, which takes the grass.
Yeah, that can be a big deal early in. Kettler being one of the players that really is very good at figuring out what his prizes are after a couple of runs through. He is a longtime veteran to the game and is no stranger to knowing what your prizes are. No stranger to taking notes either. One of the few players that I see that actively does still. And I still think it's important to drop them every once in a while.
Yeah, so the way this match actually goes, and let you know, like earlier in the rounds of the tournament, it's kind of hard to figure out what your opponent's playing, especially if they start Tapu Lele GX. That's kind of in every single deck. But the way it is for this matchup, he knows he's playing against Garbodor. He's like, well, usually I want to get a bunch of Decidueye. But against Garbodor, you want to get that Vileplume as fast as you can.
So I'm a little confused. We're having a brief conversation here. I'm not sure if it has to do with whether or not his Gloom is evolved. Hopefully we can get some clarification on this soon, figure out what exactly happened. But I'm trying to see, what's the last card in Kettler's hand? Do you know? I don't know if it's a Sycamore. Oh,
Yeah.
It's a Sycamore, and we're back to your regular program. So here we go, 7 cards. Certainly looking for a way to drop down that Vileplume.
He
Hopefully
does get the Dartrix, though, but and the Ultra Ball, so it'll be interesting to see. I think you kind of have to go for the Vileplume.
Do you do the dangerous Vileplume where you
The
Ultra
very
Ball,
dangerous, yeah.
no float stone on it? The other thing is he might not know that Benjamin runs 4 Tapu Lele, so actually has a unconventionally higher chance of fishing Lysander out of the deck if that's what he decides to do.
Yeah, and looking at Benjamin's hand, it doesn't really seem that strong. There's maybe a double colorless in the N. That's pretty much all I see.
And so we see Kettler making one more pass to the deck, and there we see the raw Vileplume. No float stone that can move it out of the way. That said, the items are now done.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he dropped it. Oh, no. He dropped it down without evolving. Okay, now he drops it down, actually evolving it. He'll search it
Giving
from
us
the
a
deck,
little taste.
slap it down, yeah. Well, here's the full flavor. Irritating pollen, activate.
Yeah, and like I said, this will shut down almost half of Benjamin's deck, especially a lot of his setup cards. But the thing is, John didn't go through a lot of his deck.
Yeah,
And a lot of his deck is still filled with item cards like Level Ball, Ultra Ball, Trainer's Mail even, a card that we don't really see because of Trash Lanch.
Yeah, we usually see you burn through a ton of items, get, one Decidueye, maybe even a second along the way. Here, just sort of left that lone Dartrix. We'll see how this ends up playing out.
And wow, the Sycamore from Benjamin drew into a bunch of supporter cards. Kind of like the downfall of people cutting items from their deck. You play more supporters to try to get more consistent.
Yeah.
But when
Promise-
you
yeah.
use these cards, you just draw more supporters. Can't really play
You
things.
can only play one supporter a turn.
And
So-
John gets the Decidueye off the top of the deck. Sycamores for a brand new 7. I see a few more Decidueye, but I don't know if there's like Rowlets or any Dartrix in his hand.
If he has Rowlet, I think he has the whole line, but I haven't seen the Rowlet. Does have double colors, though, which is important, so he can start applying pressure on this other Tapu Lele. Here we go. I assume that's Feather Arrow plus Energy Drive.
Definitely, yeah, for the 80 damage.
Okay, so there is a Drampa down on Benjamin's side, so he's not completely out of Pokemon yet, but is left in a weird spot. Rainbow Energy down.
We do see the Lysander in his hand. He might just bring up that Vileplume and be like, well, you don't have a Floatstone.
So here we see, oh, and this is another brutal strategy that you can try and do. Just doing the, is it Righteous Edge, I think?
Yeah, Righteous Edge.
Righteous Edge on Drampa GX, discarding special energies. That could destroy Kettler. He only has four special energy in the deck and 1 basic energy.
Yeah, thanks to those 3 prized grass energy, this might be a very sound strategy for Benjamin going forward, especially if he can kind of get a tell from Kettler about what his prizes are.
And I think eventually he will have to apply some kind of pressure to outmatch multiple Feather Arrow if like another Decidueye comes down. But for now, this seems like a pretty sound play. And it does get the Tapu Lele back onto the bench for now. Oh, and he just kicked all the damage off mid-shuffle. Unfortunately, that heal does not count long-term.
It's not like a Max Potion where you can just heal it.
No, Max Potion actually can't be played because of irritating pollen.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
But
so neither can kicking it off with a shuffle.
You're correct. Yeah, that is also blocked with irritating pollen and the rules of the game. So you see another Drampa come down on the bench, and there we go. Righteous Edge. Pretty righteous. Discarding the double colorless.
Discarding it for Kettler. Just like,
Yes.
here you go. I did this.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty good aim. It landed
Yeah.
right on top of the discard pile. Rowlet's down. This is a new hand. I was thinking, like, oh, he can just evolve straight up, but he just got in, so I actually don't know what's in. Here's the replacement double. And a Lysander pulling up that damaged Tapu Lele, saying, I'm not finished with you yet. And I believe this should be enough. Let's see. Oh, just the attack. Did he get the Feather Arrow in as well?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so it's just not enough.
Yeah,
Just
because there was
short.
100 on it before, and because the energy's not there anymore, he's doing less damage.
You're right, yeah. Just the 160 left. And it doesn't really matter because if your opponent can't heal it, then you just Feather Arrow for the rest of it.
Honestly, it's kind
afterward.
of better because now the Tapu Lele is stuck active, and he's forced to attach energy if he wants to retreat and Righteous Edge again.
Yeah, I like this. I've seen this happen a couple of times. It's like, do you really want to spend another energy here? You probably do. It's just a weird situation.
Yeah, and I was actually talking with Kettler after he made first seed yesterday, and I was congratulating him. I told him I was going to wear a Decidueye pin today for him.
And you are wearing it?
Yeah, and he wanted to be like, yeah, I'm just really happy whenever I'm on stream, they sit me down right by the Rowlet. I love it.
Just like in the display behind
Yeah.
it. Oh, that's fantastic.
All right, we see a double colorless come down on the Drampa GX.
Yeah, I think that means no attack this turn then. It's funny. There's just like a really obscure play you could do long term with all the Lele he runs, where you could actually use the Tapu Cure to get rid of the damage from the active Lele.
We've only seen it a few times this weekend,
It-
and
it-
not really to great effect, but like everything about Tapu Lele is great.
If people forget that it has a GX attack that's actually relevant.
Yeah.
It's a niche use, but it's still the fact that it even has that on top of the best ability in the game and like one of the best attacks for 2 energy is just absurd.
It's an all right card.
It's all right, I would say. All right, included in every deck.
Yeah.
So we're going to look through Benjamin's deck. I'm trying to see. He's doing a Wonder Tag right now, right?
Yeah.
On
Also counting up how many Trubbish he has.
Okay, I was going to say he's looking for Pokemon for Bridget. Please play the Bridget down first.
Not again.
Did indeed do so. Only has space for 2 bench Pokemon, so we're getting just the 2 Trubbish. And that'll be relevant long term. Either getting a Garbatoxin. Well, he can't get Garbatoxin anymore because Vileplume is in play. But still being able to attack for Trash Avalanche in the end game is relevant.
This end up might hurting him a little bit going forward because one of the
Whew, there we go. Boom. Decidueye number 2.
one of the outs for John to really win through the strategy of Trainer Lock and just Feather Arrow everything is bringing up Pokemon that have a high retreat cost and don't do much in the active spot. And Trubbish and like Garbodor with little items in John's discard is one of those liabilities.
Yeah, it's weird. Kettler got such an early Vileplume into play that he didn't really have to burn through as many item cards. There's probably still a good handful in there. He's done a couple of Sycamores and such, but I don't think not nearly enough for something like a Decidueye to be knocked out in the active position later in the game. And here we saw a Feather Arrow for the knockout. I think we have another Feather Arrow coming up, and oh boy, a double energy drive.
And he's trying to take prizes as fast as possible because of the grass energies being prized. I'm not sure if he actually got him. It does look like he got at least one from the prizes, and that is looking great for Kettler.
Wow, yeah, that's so much pressure on the Drampa. And even if the Drampa can knock you back out, you've got enough damage on it where you could probably knock it back out coming soon.
Yeah, just 2 Feather Arrows will take care of it.
Yeah, the only thing to stop this would be something like a Hex Maniac, and even then it's only temporary.
Yeah, and it does look like he doesn't even play Hex Maniac, so there's no possibility of like Hex Maniac, Floatstone, Garbotoxin, Garbodor.
Yeah, we just see a Berserk knockout with Drampa. It is a very powerful attack. It does take out the Tapu Lele completely. But now Kettler's back, got one of his grass energies attached. 2 Feather Arrows should deal with this Drampa.
I love this turn because he's going to be able to take 2 prizes without attacking. That means he will be able to Hollow Hunt GX, get back more double colorless energy, and whatever else he needs, and be able to kind of steamroll this game.
Yeah, the games where you're allowed to have like a free turn, a Hollow Hunt, where you don't have to attack. Look at that. Here come back valuable energy that were lost. A Lysander, even considering Field Blower, that would be a weird one.
So I think he's in preparation for a Hex Maniac.
Yeah, even if they can Hex Maniac, get Garbodor back in play, then I can shut off Garbodor, and I think that's exactly what he's going for, just a very safe play.
All right, there's the Hollow Hunt. Believe it did get Lysander and Double Clutch. I didn't see the third card.
He did grab the Field Blower.
The Field Blower, all right.
And we see teammates coming on over on Benjamin's side of the field. Again, we're not exactly sure what he gets until he comes back to his hand. Looks like Double Colorless and
so he's kind of preparing for next turn. Still, he knows, like, I really need to get something going.
Well, here's the Garbodor. Who's that Double Colorless going to go to?
I think he's saving it for the Drampa GX next turn. As of right now, he's counting out the items. I believe there's only like 2 or 3, maybe 4. That's nowhere near enough to actually deal with this Decidueye GX.
It's hard to tell. There may even be more than that. Might be upwards of 6 or something. But even then, it's certainly not enough. Not even close for a 1-hit knockout. Yeah, maybe not even enough for a 2-hit knockout.
Not even enough that he decides to attach Double Colorless to the Tapu Lele GX on the bench.
Just passes.
And that's where this big retreat of this Garbodor comes into play. With it being active, John can just take his time.
Yeah, you need to have a Floatstone to help move it around, and you can't attach Floatstone when you're under irritating pollen.
All right, so we see this Feather Arrow, and with John Kettler having 2 prizes left, he is eyeing the win with taking out the 2 lowest HP Pokemon in play.
Yeah, right now you've got damage counters on the Trubbish, damage counters here on the active Garbodor. And you're about to drop some Feather Arrows. Here we do see the Garbotoxin Garbodor down, but not with a Pokemon tool attached. There's no Garbotoxin.
It's really only just a desperation play to be like, well, you can't knock out this and the other Garbodor, so maybe I'll survive another turn.
So over here on Benjamin's end, he does have the Psychic Energy, could attack. Another Tapu Lele. He already has the N in hand. I'm wondering what support is looking for instead. I think now is time for the desperation. Pulling up Vileplume and hoping that your opponent can never retreat it. And this actually can work out really well if you end up getting something like moving up Drampa, trying to get rid of your opponent's energy. Or maybe it's just okay knocking it out as is, getting his item usage back.
And here we see, yes, there is only 2 item cards in the discard.
Oh, wow. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think of this. Like Kettler.
Oh, he brought back the Field Blower.
Yeah, when he brings it back, it actually cuts it down as well with Hollow Hunt.
Decidueye, one of the few cards that can actually take back items from your discard to lower Garbodor's attack.
I thought for sure it'd be more than that. He obviously brought at least one back, but that's still crazy that he's been able to get this good of a setup with so few items.
Yeah, it's insane. And really, he's just going to be content sitting back and using Feather Arrow.
Yeah, can slowly chip away these last 2 Garbodor. And I just don't know how Benjamin's going to take 4 prize cards before it's all over.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of the weaknesses of this Drampa GX Garbodor deck compared to the Espeon GX, where Espeon, you can play Flareon.
Right.
It gives you an out and multiplies your damage by 2 against these Decidueyes and these Vileplumes.
But yeah, when you don't have the ability to multiply your damage, you can't turn to fire. You have to do it all in one hit. And Drampa doesn't exactly do that. Drampa can hit for up to 180 with the Choice Band. That doesn't knock out a Decidueye GX in one hit. And while it is a basic Pokemon, it requires more energy. The other thing is, like, the Espeon can be extremely frustrating to deal with because of the auto-confusion on 1 energy. I've seen players struggle to deal with that as well. And you don't really have that same trick up your sleeve.
Yeah, especially when it's kind of hard to retreat your Pokemon without like the use of items like Floatstone and stuff like that. And here we just see John perfectly content, just like, yeah, I'll Feather Arrow. Yep. Feather Arrow.
Feather Arrow should just be able to, even if you can't close it out right now, it's certainly coming up. Look at how much damage is on the Garbodor on the bench. I think that's only 1 away. That's only a 100 hit point Garbodor, right? Yep.
Yeah.
There it goes. And he can put this one in the active position, just a fraction of a counter away from being knocked out. I'm not even sure what you do if you're Benjamin. I would almost
I kind of
concede.
probably would have liked a concession a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Like, John's not going to play any more items. He's already has all his energy he needs. Never going to play a Sycamore to discard his hand.
I'm trying to think, if you're Benjamin, what do you even do? Yep, there we go. There's the concession. And Kettler sweeps that one up with a unorthodox but still extremely strong play.
Yeah, going for that Vileplume early really hurts this matchup, especially that he got it before Benjamin even got a turn to play item cards.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do. I think if you are the Vileplume player, you usually want the turn 1 Vileplume, even if it means you have to play the sad no Floatstone Vileplume. It can be dangerous in some matchups, but once it's down, you can really stop your opponent from playing items. Like there, I don't think Benjamin got a chance to play an item the entire game.
Yeah.
Didn't have any Hex Maniac to shut it off. You just kind of have to take it. And while Kettler did have a weirder setup, he had very few energy, only 1 grass and 3 grass prized. He was able to make very good use of his double colorless energies, grab the knockouts that he needed, and even playing very smartly with his Hollow Hunt, returning items back, making the Garbodor really never get to shine in the way that it has this format.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how John Kettler's day has been going. Starting out at 8-0-1 atop the pack, on stream round 1 of day 2 against Ryan Sablehouse. Ends up losing that one.
Oh, that was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
It looked like he finally scraped away a draw. But now it's like you said, he's just 1 game away from perhaps finding his way in a top 8.
Yeah, he has 6 rounds, and he's gone 1-0 or 1-1-3 so far. So not the day he's really been looking for, but still in contention for that top 8. Same with Benjamin, trying to like claw up from the bottom.
So here we go, just shuffling back in because he had a mulligan. Benjamin's going to be going first. Normally I would say, oh, well, sometimes the players say they want to go second. I don't think anyone in their right mind would ever want to go second against a deck that can run Vileplume. You saw what happens when Kettler has the opportunity to go first. You get shut down before you can do anything. So Benjamin will go first, have an extra card to work with. And it looks like Kettler's eyeing up his cards in a way where I can only imagine does have a basic. So we're ready to go. Game 2 of this last match. Will Kettler be able to scrape forward to win? Will Benjamin be able to grab 2 quick wins? Both these players looking for their 1 out into paradise.
All right, those prizes are a little better for Kettler.
Yeah, a little more even. And 2 doubles,
wow.
that's relevant
Yeah.
over on Benjamin's side. I think we just had a fist bump. I respect it. Here we go. Drampa on Lugia.
Yeah, Lugia is another card that with the release of Tapu Lele, it's like, well, it's the same exact attack, right?
Right.
Like, we don't need Lugia EX anymore. EXs are a thing of the past. It's all about GXs. But its second attack, Deep Hurricane, is 4 colorless energy. And if there's a Stadium in play, it does 150 damage. And that's pretty relevant because especially with Feather Arrow damage, it starts to one-hit a lot of these GX Pokemon.
Yeah, I like oftentimes you might think like, well, I can't really afford to put 2 double colorless energy on a Lugia, but in Kettler's case, you don't really use your energy that often. You're mostly doing Feather Arrows, so you can afford it. That said, when you're looking up against a Drampa, it makes things a little more awkward. If you slap down a double, it can just get slapped back down into the discard pile with Righteous Edge. You are dealing more damage over time, but it is a weird interaction. And was that it on Benjamin's side?
So Benjamin played a Sycamore, like discarded his hand, went like Trubbish, Rainbow Energy, and his hand really didn't have anything else. It has another 2 Rainbow Energy.
Oh, wow.
So he Versus Seekered for the Sycamore for next turn, trying to prepare for that Vileplume lock.
And that's pretty tough, honestly. You want to play as many item cards as possible before Vileplume comes down. He only got to get a few through there. He does have a good turn following, but once again, it's Kettler's chance to shut off items and make this a very hard matchup to deal with right away.
Yeah, and we do see with this Drampa Garb deck that Benjamin's playing, he is opting without the Team Magma Stadium and going just the full 4 Rainbow Energy. So right now, even if he does draw double colorless, Berserk will not be doing its maximum damage.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of players opting to no longer play the Team Magma Stadium anymore. I actually really like it, but I can understand you want to make deck spaces for other things. Sometimes hitting for speed is not as valuable in other matchups, but here you kind of want to be able to do as much damage as possible as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think they're kind of cutting it because it kind of helps your opponent out too if they're playing Drampa.
True. Yeah, it's not a good mirror card. You do their work for them if you want to be the first one to play it down. And let's see. Kettler, he's got Decidueye. Does he have any outs to Vileplume is the question. Floatstone down on Lugia. Can already start with the Feather Arrow. And an Ultra Ball following it up. So we're going to see a Shaman EX set up, digging deeper.
We don't see very often anymore. Still love it, though.
Yeah, I still like to include around 1 Shaman in each of my decks. I know it's a huge liability, but the effect that it gets you is just so valuable.
Puka said that too. He was like, it's one of the few effects, like it's the only effect in the game like itself.
Yes, yeah, it's I feel like it wins more games than it loses for you when played in appropriate situations. However, in Kettler's deck, it's even a little different. Like this deck always runs Shaman just because you can abuse it in so many more ways.
And I think he's going to be dropping an energy down maybe, or thinking about it. Oh, there's another Rowlet. That's what it is.
So there we go. Setup, drawing, filling back up the hand. See an energy. It's hard to tell from the angle of exactly what cards he has. I see at least another Ultra Ball.
All right. Sky Return rearing its ugly head. Trying to conserve the double colorless against this Righteous Edge attack.
I totally understand what he's going for here. He has Level Ball in hand. He's going to follow it up with an Ultra Ball. The only downside is after you play that Ultra Ball, you're going to have a very low hand and not much to do with. So why not Sky Return back in the hand and make sure you can draw more cards afterward?
I love it.
So here we see Ultra Ball discarding Trainer's Mail and a Rowlet.
And the reason he kept the Rowlet in his hand is he is fine discarding it. He doesn't really need much other, he needs the other cards he's going to draw, so he'd rather discard the Rowlet.
Yeah, I think in case of emergency, you want space where you can use an additional Shaman if you have to, or even a second Oddish. There we go. Irritating Pollen back under. Free retreat with the Floatstone. Sky Return back up. You're fine letting Lugia take a hit for now.
Wow, and now these Floatstones that Benjamin had in his hand are useless. He could have probably, or no, he got it from the end. That's right.
So off the end, here it's just an absolutely ugly hand. Sycamore it all away. So won't even be able to do like a Lysander up on the Vileplume. And here we go.
We do see a Garbodor in Benjamin's hand, so Trash Lanch might come into play this time. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 items now instead of the 2 or 3 last game.
And oh man, you can really see the impact of Irritating Pollen though.
There's 5. All right, that's pretty good then. Most things are 2 hits.
Yeah, it's better than 2. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
This Garbodor down doesn't have a Psychic Energy yet. Opts to grab a Lysander, knowing the value of it when you're on the back foot. You have to bring Vileplume up, try and hurt them in some way.
Yeah, and remember, There's 25 minutes left in this round. This is the last round. A tie will knock both of these competitors out of top 8 contention.
Yeah, if I'm playing, I'm certainly going to try and be aware of time and know when it is time to start speeding up. And I think that's sort of what Kettler's going for here with the double colorless on the Lugia. Sure, they can righteous edge you, but does it really matter after you've started to apply this much damage? Probably not after an arrow ball for 60. Shaman setup.
See it.
That's why he did the Sky Return to bring it back to his hand and reset up.
And unfortunately for Benjamin, cutting those Team Magma bases allow Force the Giant Plants to be in play for the entire game.
Yeah, that's the other thing that running the stadium is helpful for, is just winning the stadium war.
Yeah, no, like he drew a field blower there, but he can't play it.
Here we go, though. This is Kettler's worst nightmare. The one thing he was not able to find was a float stone onto an Oddish before it becomes Vileplume. Sort of just stuck in the active spot. Benjamin can, he's going to GX using Big Wheel. Shuffling his hand in, drawing 10 cards. And that's a good attack to have when you're under item lock. You're not going to have a lot of valuable cards when you run so many items, so you might as well try and draw deep, get something to work with.
Yeah, but you could also be prone to draw those hands where
look how many items
it's
are in
just
this
a
hand.
bunch of items.
Look at that, like half of the 10 cards you drew are items.
Yeah.
Got some relevant stuff in there as well, like and double colorless energy. But in the
that's
meantime,
pretty much it.
Yeah. Kettler, now, got to make the choice. Do I attach twice? Just trying to retreat this Vileplume. I don't think anyone really does the AZ tricks anymore.
Yeah, there's no resource for it.
Right.
AZ, Cassius are rotated out of the format.
So in the meantime, Kettler content. Lysander's up the other Drampa while still applying Feather Arrow damage to the one that's already damaged, just trying to keep his opponent slow.
Yeah, Kettler's only savior right now is Olympia. But it does not look like he has it in his hand, and he doesn't really want to waste the resources to try and get it, because it might mean putting more items in the discard, and there's already 10 or 5 in there.
Yeah, he's in a difficult spot. Almost has to be okay with just doing a Feather Arrow per turn, and that seems solid to me. The only thing that isn't solid is just that it's so slow. And he's trying to fight the clock at this point.
Yeah, both players are.
So there we see Righteous Edge. Vileplume finally starting to be chipped away at. Will Kettler find a way to move it? He has a Sycamore. I'm just not sure if he wants to get rid of all those items. I think he might just Feather Arrow and pass.
Feather Arrow for the knockout, and that also takes away any bench damage on Benjamin's side of the field. That means Berserk will just be doing its 80 damage instead of the full 150.
Yeah, so even if you are going to knock out the Vileplume, spending 3 turns to knock out a one-prize Pokemon is miserable.
Talk about trying to play against the clock.
Yeah, Benjamin, hey, slaps down an energy. Strategy still seems to be working one step at a time. Debating the end, my opponent hasn't shown that they have anything of value. Let's send them back down to 4. I get 6. And try and get through this. The other tough thing is when you knock out the Vileplume, you don't immediately get to use your items in most cases. You knock out, then your opponent has the opportunity to maybe get a new Vileplume down.
Yeah, then it gives John the option. He's like, well, I can play around the Garbodor and still not play my items, or I could like play Revitalizer, play some more Ultra Balls, Level Balls, get the Vileplume out right away. So it really depends on what he values more, him playing around the Trash Lance or his opponent not being able to play items.
So there we see the Berserk for 80. Vileplume still holding on. Kettler still just holding on to the cards that he has. I don't know what he got off his end of 4. I'm sure he would love to have. If he had 2 Decidueye in play, I think that he'd be able to apply so much more pressure. So looking for that. Even opting, hey, if my opponent starts running out of options, I've got a big Lugia to end the game. And just Feather Arrow pass once again.
Yeah, Deep Hurricane is a real threat that's going to be coming up here. But even with the few items in Kettler's discard, Trash Lance does enough to take the knockout on Vileplume. Trainers, or items now, are active.
All right, well, here comes Decidueye back down. Now, does Kettler have an item that allows him to draw, or is the lock finally broken? One crazy thing is if he has another energy, too, he can actually do a Deep Hurricane.
Yeah, and here we see the Revitalizer, a card from that generation set. One of the few cards that actually made a difference with that set. Like, I guess Jolteon EX was the other one that was pretty popular. But Revitalizer, comboed along with Force Giant Plants, he can get that Vileplume out this turn.
Does he have a Vileplume in hand? You know, you can get 2 of the pieces back right there. All he needs is the 3rd piece in hand. So there we see Oddish down, Gloom down. Can he get a Floatstone this time as well? I don't know if he has a Sycamore or something to draw more at the end of all of this. No, just the Gloom. The item. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah,
there's
the
2 feather
arrow,
arrows. Yeah, he's got 2 now.
All right, there we go. Yeah.
They're the knockout. Just the Gloom. Benjamin will have a turn of items, but Kettler now setting up for some turns of aggression.
All right, there's the Garbodor coming down from Benjamin with the Choice Band.
How heavy did Garbodor hit earlier? Do we know?
So I think if I've been keeping track right, there's 6 items in John's discard. So that means with the Choice Band, that's actually the knockout.
Yeah, it would do the exact 170 if true. So we'll see how this ends up resolving.
I think he's doing the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Looks like the 6 top cards are all items.
Oh, man. So this is going to be pretty big. I think Kettler's going to need a return double colorless so that he can actually attack with his Decidueye off of 2 feather arrows just to get rid of this Garbodor. And Benjamin getting the Trubbish down also very big so he can continue a stream of them when needed. And look, now being able to play all these item cards, he can Versa Seeker for Sycamore, play cards like Choice Band, get all these things down. No Vileplume for Kettler means that Benjamin can start seeing a bit more life in this match.
Yeah, it is now 3-3. A Trainer's Mail from Kettler puts his item count to 7.
Wow, yeah, Kettler at this point, you almost, like, once you started getting deep enough, you kind of just have to concede, like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go deep into the trash here. As long as they get one shot.
Well, the magic number is 12.
Yeah.
You don't want to get to 12.
Not to 12 or even earlier than that, maybe 11 because of the Choice Band.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't go that deep, I guess you're okay digging. You got to get Vileplume back down, and you got to get a double colorless for the knockout. He's played through a few energy, played pretty aggressively through the beginning of the game. Let's see what he has to follow up. I see another Oddish in his hand, debating if he wants to play it back down. No Vileplume yet.
And remember, if he... Ooh,
there it is, Sycamore.
Double Decidueye discarded off the Sycamore. But remember, if he has to play around this Trash Lance attack, he could just Hollow Hunt GX for 3 items.
So here we see double Feather Arrow, applying them to the Drampa on the bench.
See, that means he does not get the double colorless from that Sycamore.
Wow, no knockout is huge. He can Hollow Hunt, which is very helpful.
And I actually like, because he has a choice to do it other places, I like him putting it on the Drampa GX because that does not turn on Berserk later on in the game. Because Drampa doesn't do more damage if he's damaged.
Oh, yeah. Only when something else on the bench does. And I think he sees his end game. He has 3 prizes left. My end game is likely I knock out this Drampa for 2 prizes, and I knock out this Garbodor for 1 prize, and there it is. I just need to find the cards that can do it. And here we see Hollow Hunt grabbing, it looks like Revitalizer, a double colorless energy.
Yeah,
and I wonder if, once again, we'll see him just bring back an item card.
So there's 7 in there now.
Oh, could grab Floatstone.
That'd be pretty good, because Vileplume is not in play, so next turn he can Revitalizer and Floatstone again.
Think just calling out to his opponent like, yep, I have a new Vileplume, I have an attack, I have everything I want. Actually opting for the Lysander instead here. Big question, as late games usually come down to, is does Benjamin have access to an end?
He does. And like I said before, the GX attacks that really, like, you get to choose what you put in your hand, most likely mean, like, well, my opponent's going to end me.
Right. Yeah, it's sometimes just making sure that you can have those options back in your deck is helpful. But hey, sometimes your opponent doesn't have it. You got to at least try. Here we see it's the Garbodor's hitting heavy, but not for a knockout. As this match winds down, it definitely does change a lot once the Vileplume lock ends. If that Vileplume had a Floatstone on it, this would be a completely different game.
Oh, wow. And we now see for the first time this match, Garbotoxin has a chance to become active.
Yeah, we have the Garbotoxin Garbodor down. It needs a Pokemon tool as well. I think Benjamin just has his supporters left. He's going to try and fish for it.
I think it's a Sycamore and a double colorless.
Yep, double colorless Sycamore. Not even playing the end, saying, well, I don't even care. I'm going to shut off your ability now.
I like the DC on the Garbodor. Maybe we'll see an Acid Spray play.
Yeah, it's possible. Here we go, double colorless, or sorry, not double colorless. Floatstone down on the Tapu Lele.
I was about to say he's playing on the Lele, but then I was like, oh,
he's got to have
one.
a second.
Yeah.
Floatstone down, Garbotoxin is activated. Kettler can no longer use abilities.
And he has the Field Blower for the Forest. Kind of a moot point since he's not really threatening much of double evolving, but still cover your bases. You're not going to need this.
Well, here we go. Big
Field
flip
Blower
here.
Anyway.
And it's heads.
Wow.
Goodbye energy. Kettler can't return with an attack, which has been a really big deal. And you can see he's going through things much more quickly, realizing that a game that once looked like something he could run away with very easily, he's now running out of time for.
Yeah, and even though Benjamin didn't get the N to get rid of the Hollow Hunt GX cards, he still kind of negated a few of the cards by getting the heads on Acid Spray.
Yeah, now... if he doesn't have, he does have the Field Blower too, so he could have knocked out this Garbotoxin, or not Garbotoxin, the Trash Avalanche Garbodor.
Wow, yeah.
Now, I'm trying to see what attacks do we have. We have Tapu Lele coming down. What about Lele? How much damage could that hit for if he has a way to retreat to it?
If he has a double colorless and a way to retreat, it will be hitting for 100. That means one Feather Arrow can take the knockout on the Garbodor.
The big thing he would need, though, still is Floatstone.
So we saw him trying to debate about Floatstone or Lysander with the Hollow Hunt. He ended up picking the Lysander, and it might come back to haunt him.
Yeah, for a very different reason. We thought maybe just something that he would put before evolving to Vileplume, but here it seems like something that Decidueye would like to have.
But I think I might also see a Floatstone in his hand anyway.
Oh, here comes Revitalizer, so... probably grabbing access back to Vileplume. Yeah, there's at least one in there. I know that much. Grabbing a Decidueye as well. Probably not super important. His hand is massive at this point.
That's what happens when you get 3 cards from your discard and just keep drawing cards and not really play anything because of Vileplume.
And so let's see. I'm curious to see. Yep, double colorless on the Tapu Lele.
He has to have the Floatstone.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's right there in his hand.
Feather Arrow to the active.
That Field Blower coming in clutch.
Olympia, that's one way to move.
Who needs a Floatstone? Olympia is so much better. You get that built-in potion, too.
Olympia down. Also has the Floatstone, which he can use here now before the Vileplume. What a great series of actions for Kettler.
This has been exactly what he needed to pull away in this game.
An additional Feather Arrow there on the Drampa on the bench. Energy Drive for a knockout. Only 2 prize cards left, and he is hunting down that Drampa to finish this. Benjamin no longer has a Trash Avalanche Garbodor to follow up with because he has the one with Garbotoxin.
Yeah, he is Kettler's 2 prizes away, essentially 1 knockout of a Drampa GX of most for sure making top 8 of the largest Pokemon tournament in history.
And we know that he has the Lysander in hand. Yeah, here comes the end. You can sort of see, while Benjamin did have to dig to get the things that he found, he did get hurt by not playing the end because then Kettler had everything he wanted to turn this around.
Yeah, I kind of think Kettler planned a few turns even ahead of what we thought.
Oh, absolutely.
That's crazy.
He's been playing this deck all year. He's a very intelligent player, great at making decisions that give him games that other players might not have seen. Here we see the classic Tapu Lele War. Damage exchange. Does Kettler have a Lysander?
Another Gloom doesn't
Gloom
really help.
Down, yeah, doesn't help, doesn't hurt. He has 2 Feather Arrows he could throw, obviously trying to apply as much pressure as he can to the Drampa. I guess, do you just attack for as much damage as you can here to the active? I don't know if you really want to retreat, but it could be an option as well.
So he could retreat because in 2 turns he will win with Feather Arrow anyway.
Yeah, just sort of stall your way out. Make it so if your opponent can't get rid of your Decidueye.
Exactly, yeah.
It seems safe. And he's got plenty of time. We've been talking about time, but there's still over 10 minutes left here.
Yeah, we were only worried about time if John actually lost this game.
Yeah, it seemed like he was going to for a while, but he had everything. He had the Field Blower to get rid of Garbotoxin, and then he made the most of it. Trying to what do you do?
Benjamin drew his card, but
on Benjamin's side, you can scoop up easy prizes off Lysander. I think that's one of the things that you're looking for. is just how can I complete this game? 2 Lysanders would probably give it to you.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, it's weird because like Gloom seems like an easy knockout, but it's not. It doesn't have any energy attached to it either. This is a weird one, and you only have basically 2 turns to work with. You're on a clock.
Yeah.
That's even assuming that Kettler doesn't have a Lysander of his own that he draws into.
And again, Kettler's been playing smart enough with that feather arrow damage, making it so Berserk is kind of a non-factor, even if it gets going.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't even think Benjamin can safely put Drampa back up into the active anymore. Unless it's like the very last turn. Grabs the Sycamore off of the Wonder Tag, plays it, digging so deep into his deck, realizing I need to just commit to 1 final attacker. So we have 3 energy on the Tapu Lele, but that he's not going to be able to do any Lysanders. Just putting 60 onto the Decidueye. I wonder, does he have any way to heal this Drampa on the bench?
He does not, because no more GX attack means no more Tapu Cure.
Just
and
extends the hand.
There's the hand.
Wow.
John Kettler almost for surely locking up his top 8 at the North American International Championships.
He's been piloting this deck for almost the entire season, is in many people's eyes the pioneer of Decidueye Vileplume, has been continually working on it. Still running some cards that players have said, like, oh, I'm not running the Lugia anymore. That's old
Most
news.
of them even took out the Vileplume.
Yeah, Summer's just saying, you know what, I just want to spread for a lot of damage. Kettler, he's an old school player, and he wanted to keep his old school version of this deck. Has run it extremely well, and while he was the top player at the beginning of the day, ran into a rough patch, I think a win there will secure his top 8 placement. We will find out soon.
And unfortunate for Benjamin, but he's still put up a great showing.
Oh, incredible run. And you can just see how strong the Garbodor decks are. Just being able to knock out of nowhere for a single energy is huge. Kettler didn't play as many item cards as other decks do as they go through. It was very smart. He